Let's jump into a time machine. Let's go back 1 year. If I were sitting here telling you, fade Christian McCaffrey round 1, fade Tyreek Hill round 1, fade both Ayuk and Debo, who are being offered in the 3rd round of fantasy drafts. If I were to tell you to fade them, you'd probably say, put that guy in a straitjacket. He's crazy. These are top tier players going at high ADPs that everybody and their mother, including the magazines and outdated rankings and fluffy podcasts, 99% of them are all telling me to draft these guys at their ADP in the early rounds. I was the only one telling you to fade them. And these are just a few examples of some of the players I told you to fade. You'd say, put that guy in a straitjacket. A lot of people did. Looking back now, fast forward to the future, who's the ones that should be in the straitjacket? It should be everyone giving you bad advice. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 wide receivers that you should fade because decline is imminent. I'm going to explain to you why I don't like these wide receivers. And quite frankly, even if they do well, I don't care because we've got better players to draft at their ADP. So I'm excited to dive into these big name wide receivers that you need to avoid to save your season, just like I saved a lot of people's seasons last year. Example, CMC round 1. That's just one example. Again, if you got the 16 round draft solution, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So if you're new to this channel, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, turn on the bell for the truth. And also, I do the news at the beginning of each episode to keep you up to date on NFL news and also fantasy football news. And there's real golden nuggets in this news that's going to help you guys win. So don't skip the front part of these episodes with Breaking Brad and I, because we're talking about actual news that's going to help you, practical stuff to help you with your drafting decisions. And it's going to go all year long. So it's going to help you with waiver wire, stuff like that. Okay. Now, if you haven't gotten 16 rounds, also secure it below. Use code WIN to save. I'm telling you, I'm handing you the win on a silver platter. Secure 16 rounds right now. You'll never look back at rankings again. Rankings are there as a distraction, essentially. They're more of a guideline and a distraction from the truth. And 16 rounds cuts through all the weeds and gives you exactly what you need, okay? Cut through the weed, get what you need. There you go. That should be the new 16 rounds slogan. I like that. Just came to me now. Okay, so get 16 rounds. You'll be very happy, and you'll get a login to get access to all my picks, sleepers, principal cheat sheet, videos, full mock drafts. This is the game changer. Once you get it's like having me at the draft with you. Get 60 rounds. I've linked it below, okay? All right, hit the thumbs up. Let's get right to the breaking news with Breaking Brad.
We now have breaking news.
All right. Thank you, Breaking Brad, for the nice intro.
We now have breaking news.
Okay, Brad, we've got it. We're good.
We now have breaking news.
All right, we've got breaking news. He's kind of a little bit excited. He had too much coffee. Brad, you got to ease up on the coffee, okay? How many coffees did you have today? How many cups? Tell me the truth.
We now have breaking news.
That many? Okay, all right. That's a lot. He had like 7. Okay, let's keep going here with the breaking news. I've learned to, since he only has one line, I've learned to translate what he says with his facial expressions. It works out great. Okay, so let's get to it here. All right. I want to talk a little bit about Malik Neighbors. He was dealing with, he's been sidelined during spring workouts due to a toe injury. He's been rehabbing, but apparently it's not a long-term injury, and it's kind of like he'll be good to go for training camp. I'm not really concerned, but just something to note. The fact that he's got a toe injury, I don't know. Is that going to be a problem? I don't think so. I'm not really concerned, okay? Kyron Williams, he's still making progress on his new contract with the team, but there's no timeline for when the deal will take place, according to head coach Sean McVay. Said Tuesday, June 17th. So that was yesterday. Okay, so good for Kyron Williams. Again, if you guys follow the channel, make sure you guys do turn on the bell here. I had him on the show last year. I might get some other players on this year. Still debating on that. But yeah, I had him on the show. Super nice guy, super confident, and he's due to get paid. I mean, he performed. He's the alpha there. He's the main workhorse, and I like him a lot for fantasy football 2025, okay? Other news here, Michael Mayer, remember him? High draft capital pick by the Vegas a year. Vegas. No, not the beggars, guys. The Las Vegas Raiders. Vegas. Okay, so apparently Michael Mayer has been outstanding, according to offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. Good for Mike Mayer. Now, I'm talking to you guys about this. Brock Bowers. This is you got to stay tuned for the tight end show. I'm not going to get too much into it. But I think there's going to be a change in that offense, and it's going to really significantly impact them for the negative there. It's a totally new offense. So that's a whole other topic. But Mike Mayer doing well. I'm not drafting him, but maybe they're just promoting because all this Brock Bowers talk, right? All right, Jackson Dart. We're going to some Giants news here. Has been excellent in spring practices, according to head coach Brian DeBall. Dart has impressed the team with how quickly he has learned and how well he has retained information. Jackson Dart. So it's like they threw a dart and drafted him, and it looks like it's paying off, according to DeBall. Okay, we're going to take that. Here's a sleeper for you here. I've been talking about this guy in other shows. Oronde Gadsden II, Los Angeles Chargers tight end, drafted, I believe, quote me if I'm wrong, second round. I could be wrong. Don't have that information in front of me. But apparently, tight ends coach Andy Bischoff, of a former pupil of his, Darren Waller, says, I know it's huge forecast, but I was fortunate to coach Darren Waller, and Darren Waller was a receiver in college. We turned it into a tight end. He's got some of those traits. It's way early, but he's twitchy. He separates. He does some really good things in the pass game. I think he's become more comfortable in our system in the last 4 or 5 days. I think people are beginning to see that. So the Chargers are trying to keep Gadsden a secret, while Gadsden is not quite the same freaky athlete that Waller was. Apparently Bischoff is high on him. So, there you go. I mean, there could be something there. I would think he's a stash at best. Quite a few options. And again, if he does become more of a receiving tight end, catches some red zone targets, taken away from, we're going to talk about it soon, Ladd McConkey. We're going to talk about that. Also, Travis Hunter news here. He does not tire. Apparently, he's got a lot of capacity in his lungs. And apparently, they're saying that he could possibly play. I was reading this somewhere. Both full-time cornerback and full-time wide receiver Travis Hunter. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, Travis Hunter, great. He's around 5 ADPs where I see him coming off. I'm doing a lot of best ball drafts and stuff. But Travis Hunter could be a value. And Brian Thomas Jr. Might be one you want to fade. Okay? So that's pretty much it with breaking news.
Now have breaking news.
Thanks, Brad. You had to interrupt me there. Okay, so let's get going here with the 5 big busts at wide receiver position. I'm excited to dive in. And let's get right to it. The first one here, you are a donkey if you draft Ladd McConkey, and I want to make a little asterisk there. Round 2. You are a donkey if you draft Ladd McConkey round 2. Why is that? Well, last year had himself a good season, 112 receptions. Quentin Johnson was kind of his only competition, if you even call that. He had 91 targets, 112 targets for Ladd. I said receptions. 112 targets, 82 receptions for Ladd. Quentin Johnson had 91 targets compared to the 112. Now, that's Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson sucks. Okay, Palmer was there. He sucks, 65 targets. Ladd was able to achieve 1,149 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. Finished as wide receiver 13 in PPR. Currently sitting as wide receiver 11, 17th overall ADP. So we are talking about a second round pick, mid to early second round. Now, I want to talk to you real quickly on why I'm not drafting Ladd McConkey. Last year, it was a big quote. I popularized it. Don't be a donkey, draft Ladd McConkey. People thank me. People praise me. They're like, I don't want to be praised. I just want to be like, I just want you guys to win your leagues. But hey, man, that's great. We got him on all our leagues. If you got 16 rounds last year, you were a happy Ladd McConkey owner. He really tore it up. And at the end of the day, man, he was value. And he was the only target there that he had no competition. And that's where I saw the clear path of like, this guy's the man. This year, I see an completely overinflated draft capital in the second round. Like, this is a guy that I was getting dirt cheap. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like dating a really attractive person and you get them before they become a celebrity. And it's like, okay, now that you're a celebrity, you're snobby now. Like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. I like the humble, attractive person that I was attracted to originally. Anyway, I'm just bad analogy, but you guys get the point. He's overinflated. Not into him at all. I'm into Trey Harris, the ex-receiver, the alpha on the roster, the high draft capital draft pick, the guy that Herbert has been looking for to really propel his career. Because at the end of the day, man, Herbert has not been as good the past couple of years, and I think he needs a spark. He had a mini spark with Ladd, but Ladd's going to be a slot guy. I just feel now with Harris, he's finally got somebody that he can rely on. Reliable hands, physical after the catch, and a guy that he could just rely on that's going to get it done. I've watched tape on him. He's probably one of, if not the best wide receiver prospects this season. And here's the thing, right? part of this episode is fading earlier round wide receivers with big names. There is a ton of great receivers that came out of this draft. I know they're a little underrated. Not so much that they're great like a Brian Thomas Jr. of last year. It's more so that they're in decent and solid positions where they could thrive, and I think Trey Harris is that. So for the reason of Trey Harris being on there, I'm going to fade him. Now, if they didn't draft Harris, I'd be like, cool, like Ladd second round makes more sense. But Harris is going to be the alpha dog. He is the wide receiver one. Anyone telling you otherwise is lying to you. And if for some reason Harris does not become the one, which I believe with certainty that he is, if for some reason he does not, I don't mind spending a 9th, 10th round pick on him instead of spending a second round pick on a diluted Ladd McConkey. So I'm telling you guys right now, just draft somebody else. Who do you want to draft in round 2? Grab the 16 round draft because I lay it out for you, drafting early, mid, and late round in a 12-person league. And I talk about best ball. I explain where these players are coming off, but you really just got to make smarter decisions. And look, hey, pinnacle year last year by default because there was no one there. New situation, okay? So Ladd McConkey, just a hard pass for me, and you guys should not be drafting him. Look elsewhere, and there's tons of wide receivers later, okay? And this one's a no-brainer. A lot of people agree with me when I talked about him last time, is T. Higgins. I just don't, I think this is crazy. He has no business being in the second round. If you guys remember, last year, he had a decent campaign, finished 17th, currently sitting as wide receiver 14th. The year before, it was a major bust. I think he played like 12 games. It was a bust. He finished like 50th amongst wide receivers. It was crazy, yet he was still being drafted at this current round 2 ADP. And I don't get why the sheep do this and why the mainstream and who comes up with these rankings. And this is the main reason I got into giving advice, is because I don't like the way advice is being given. It's a good enough reason to come in here and disrupt the industry. But nobody's coming out and saying like, this is ludicrous that this guy is sitting as wide receiver 14 right now in a situation where he's clearly the 2. I've looked and analyzed his stats. His pinnacle year was last year with his 10 touchdowns, 109 targets, which was, I think he had 110 targets years ago. He hasn't eclipsed that. And his ceiling is limited. It's like, again, back to my analogies. It's like being in a room with a really, let's say you're 5'6", right? That's really low. Okay, that's a really short person, but it's okay if you're short. That's fine. I'm not too far off that. But let's say you're 5'10". Okay, I'm 5'10", and you're in a room that's like 6'2" ceiling, right? You got a couple inches there, and you really want to jump high. You can't because you've got a limited ceiling. And that's exactly what you're getting with Higgins. So don't be the 5'10" person in a 6'2" height ceiling room. Just don't be that person. I got to give these analogies because some people don't understand. They're like, I like T. Higgins because everybody else did drafting him. Everyone's getting him in round 2. But no. He's going to, if Jamar Chase goes down, well, that's great. But why would you spend a second round pick, a late second round, early third on a guy that's just going to be the 2? It doesn't make any sense, guys. Start using common sense, okay? Number 3 here. I'm not seeing the hype here at all with these two guys. Rashee Rice, round 3 ADP, wide receiver 16, and Worthy, round 5, wide receiver 32, okay? We're talking about Kelsey. He looks really thin. I saw him dropping a ball on tape. But either way, they've got receiving, pass-catching backs. They got Kelsey. They got Noah Gray. They got other receiving options. And at the end of the day, man, it's like they've got 2 kind of essentially wide receiver ones, kind of a similar situation. A better situation, though, but similar situation to Debo and Ayuk last year, where kind of people were like deciding on who the one is here. And, Worthy didn't even have that amazing stats last year. He only had his targets weren't high. I think it was like 98 targets, something like that, 59 receptions, finished 33rd amongst wide receivers. And, he's sitting as wide receiver, like I said, 32, but again, you're still paying a lot for a Rice and Worthy. Like Rice is going to come off round 3 type thing. Worthy's going to come off round 5, 6, depends, give or take on how many people are in your league. They're still coming off in the earlier rounds, right? And there's still uncertainty on who the wide receiver 1 is. That is very expensive. And I'm just going to pull up my best ball league real quick just to kind of gauge where these guys came off in best ball. But Worthy came off actually in 4 in best ball, and I get it. He's going to have those big games. and Rice came off round 3. I've been doing a bunch of best ball leagues, high stakes. That is expensive for guys that are you're uncertain who they are. And again, give them a round or two discount in, redraft. I just don't see the volume being there for both these guys. And then Rice, who only played 4 games last year, I think he had a couple touchdowns. Is there a suspension looming with him? And he has a lot of charges. I think there's 8 charges against him, maybe even more, on these alleged charges: fleeing the scene of an accident, creating bodily harm, and I don't know, man. That was a pretty serious offense. If it was you and I, we'd definitely be in jail. So I don't know. I don't trust him. I don't like his character. Anybody that causes that type of collision allegedly and then flees the scene allegedly, just not the player that I want on my team, especially with a suspension limit. Well, Joe, you gotta separate, personality, whatever. No, man, I like good characters. Okay, that's why I've been drafting Derrick Henry for years. Now I'm kind of possibly off the Derrick Henry train, but I like people that put their head down and work, right? Another example, right? Another guy I'm stashing this year with good work ethic is Cam Ward. I like the kid because you could see that he actually cares and he's not out clubbing and partying. And that's a whole other topic on why I like players with good character. I was a big Larry Fitzgerald fan for years. You guys know why. Good character. You guys get it, right? So anyways, so Rashee Rice, not a character I like. Worthy, I don't see the volume being there for, I'm just fading both. This reminds me very similarly to, Debo and Ayuk last year, but I was totally off those guys. But in this case, maybe one of these two emerges. So all I'm doing is fading him. I just don't like playing wide receiver roulette in the early rounds. I don't know about you guys, but I value all my draft picks, even the last one, especially those early round ones, okay? All right, let's keep going. The next guy I'm avoiding here, again, feel free to smash thumbs up, guys, help the channel, and drop a question below if you have it. Let's keep moving. Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver 5. Okay, the problem with him is, he had a career high 12 touchdowns. Was it last year? Yeah, something like that. And then his best year was 2023. He had 1,515 yards. His targets went down, though. His touchdowns were good last year, but his targets from the year before, 2022 to 2024, dropped. It went from 164 targets to 141. And his yardages went down 15, 15, and 23 to 1,263 last year. I have a problem because it's a new offensive coordinator. This guy comes in named John Morton. And, at the end of the day, Ben Johnson's gone. It's going to be a new kind of situation there, a new look. They've got a lot of targets to feed. They've got Gibbs, who's kind of really integrated in the receiving game now. They're going to be using him a lot in the receiving game. They got Laporta, who had a bit of a down year last year, could be trending up slightly. They got Jameson Williams that they say they want to use more. And I'm not, best ball Williams might be good. I don't have any stock, but they're saying that I'm just hearing all this Williams talk that they're going to use him more. At the end of the day, man, I just don't see a high ceiling with him on. I think he's great. I think he's safe. But I just, I don't know when the decline's coming, but he's had a bunch of good years. I just don't feel warm and fuzzy with him. I just think there's better options, higher ceiling players that you can get in the first round. If you want them all, grab the 16-round draft solution. Okay? Shameless plug. And number 5 here is Chris Godwin. I don't even know why this guy is even wide receiver 27. I don't even know why he's coming off so high. And, round 4 to 5, I'm going to see again where he came off in this best ball league. The problem I have is they drafted Emeka Egbuka. From what I'm hearing, he looks even better than Evans. And I believe it because Evans is kind of older. Godwin here, by the way, came off round 6 to 7. There's a bunch of leagues I'm doing. Around 7 for Godwin in this best ball league. So still very expensive. But you got Emeka there. And I love Emeka. If Godwin wasn't there, if I can guarantee Godwin wasn't there, I would definitely go Emeka as one of my favorite sleepers. But you got that target dilution again. You got Evans, who's going to demand the ball because he's the veteran and he's still viable and he's still good. And you got Godwin, who only played 4 or 5 games last season, 7 games, something like that. And you got Emeka, and look at their wide receivers, right? So we got wide receiver 27 for Godwin, wide receiver 17 for Evans, and Emeka's way down there, wide receiver 56. Emeka's the best value if you ask me, but you've got this 3-headed monster where all 3 are relatively capable to become a wide receiver 1. So you've got this Evans the 1, but Emeka could be the 1, and Godwin is like the 1B, and it's like so much distribution all over the place. I don't know if there's going to be enough balls going around to make any of these guys really worth it. Like I think Evans will be safe, but you got a healthy Godwin and Emeka who's emerging. It's just kind of messy for me, but Godwin out of the 3, I think is the weakest link. And that's why I think he's a waste. Round 4 to 5 ADP is crazy in redraft, and I'm completely fading him. Okay. So that was my analysis. Those are 5 guys: McConkey, Higgins, Rice, and Worthy. Who knows who the 1 is there? And I don't think there's enough volume to go around for those guys. Amon-Ra, I think a decline is coming. I think Williams and other guys get more involved. And then, of course, Chris Godwin, another waste of a pick, in my opinion. All right. So those are 5 receivers you need to avoid. Bust alert. Draft somebody else. It's simple, guys. It's like, even if these guys all tear it up, which I doubt they will, I don't see it in any, just based on scenario, depth chart, opportunity, volume, talent, regression years, and all that. If they do tear it up, there's far superior players in better positions to draft at the ADPs of these guys. And that's who you should be targeting. All right. All the answers are in 16 rounds. Grab it below, subscribe, and turn on the bell, because you're going to get the daily shows for your breaking news, so you guys are up to date. Have yourself a great day, everybody. We'll talk soon. Enjoy the day. Lion out.